Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Hey, Ravender. Hey, Kay. How's it going?
Good.
Good, good.
Cool. Muse. That's a watercolor? Moose?
Yeah, the moose. And actually, I don't have my orange scarf. I'm breaking the rules because our branding color's orange. And we call our target market, our ideal target is your moose. So don't go out and hunt rabbits and, badgers or whatever. Focus on your moose. How's that sound, Izzy?
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's why I've got a bunch of people there I know and who like me and some love me and
Let me see. All right. Cool. Let me just check here that everyone's coming in. Awesome, awesome. So today we're going to talk about a little bit more around like B2B prospecting, sales navigator, and stuff like that. I'm going to share with you guys some powerful strategies that you guys can also use. Before we get started, does anyone have any questions from yesterday?
I was just doing my first one, the case study one, but I was getting all stuck between the between the new way, the new case study versus the existing case study, the prompts. I was kind of not sure how to use the new case study to create like the concept of the modern way of doing it. So I think I just have to go through it one more time today. So that's kind of what I was working on.
So basically what the case study does, I mean, this can change depending on what you guys are doing, but typically, especially now that AI is coming out, there are outdated ways of doing things and there's like modern ways, obviously powered by AI. So if that doesn't fit your own process, then you can just modify that. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to demonstrate that there's ineffective ways of doing something and there's effective ways of doing something. So you can change the wording around to however it like fits for you, but that's essentially the purpose of that.
And can it be based on like different tools that we are using, like Gamma that Rich used, or is that just could be anything? Like we can just put it as text.
I think that part is optional, right? Like you can use Gamma, Google Docs, but that's not as important as like creating the case study and like creating the content.
Okay, thanks.
You having fun yet? Hey.
Cool. Any other questions?
You still got crazy following you around?
Yeah, I just want
to mute everybody. Any questions or any comments before we get started?
if we can all mute our mics to give
I
this
just
fellow
muted
the
everybody.
respects. Yeah, she's doing, and thank you so much for the valuable. This class blew me away because honestly, like I saw it Saturday that you were having a class. I wanted to support you.
Thank you.
And now in doing so, I'm in a wonderful sales class learning stuff I didn't know before. So thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I just muted everybody. We'll just stay muted for the recording for everyone who's watching the recording who couldn't join us. And then we'll just do Q&A towards the end. So, all right, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Today is going to be like pretty jam-packed with info, so let's see here. All right. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to cover B2B lead generation. Over the last few days, we went through pretty much understanding, just a quick little recap. We went through understanding that when you start following someone, when someone starts following you, it doesn't mean that they're a lead yet. It just means that they're now more likely, if they are the ideal target avatar or ideal client buyer avatar, whatever you want to call it, there is a chance that maybe they might be. So we shared in the last 2 days, we talked a lot about this whole like funnel sort of situation, right? You have the people that are on the top of funnel that they don't really know you. They don't really know if they have a problem. Then you have middle of funnel, people that are understanding that they have a problem, and then solution aware, where now they know they have a problem, but they don't, and now they're looking for a solution. and then ultimately they're ready to buy. So when they get to ready to buy, usually like literally 3% of your entire market is ready to buy. So when you're sending messages hoping that you're going to land an appointment or whatever, a lot of the times people aren't ready. So yesterday we also covered there are two ways to grow your business. You can either increase your prices or you can increase your volume of sales, which means you need to increase your leads. So yesterday we went through the appointment setting flow on like how to set appointments via DMs. Yesterday we covered a little bit about virtual events like boot camps and stuff like that. We also covered that trust at the end of the day is the ultimate form of currency. So if you don't build trust, it's going to be harder for you to gain them as a client. And because it's like the number one thing that I know a lot of people say know, like, and trust. You might have heard that before, right? Know, like, and trust. But if they know you and they like you, it doesn't necessarily mean that they trust you or they want to buy from you. That's why, like, putting those two aside, let's just focus on building trust. And the best way we can build trust is by actually providing helpful, insightful content, by being able to provide value and start building a relationship based off of that. And ultimately, the more people that you speak with, the more opportunities you generate. So that goes for everything. If you post content, you're speaking to people. Maybe you're not in a two-way communication yet, but you are speaking to your right ideal buyers by posting content that resonates with them, right? So there are different styles of speaking with people. Yesterday we covered a lot of like inbound DMs, like how to turn the traffic that you're getting from your content into appointments. And the B2B sales process is a little bit different. So the B2B sales process is a little bit more complex. And a lot of the times it's more complex because there's different decision makers. There's usually more than two. Sometimes there's other people or other departments that you have to brief in. And just breaking into those kinds of deals, it's also a little bit more time consuming because there's so much more that goes into it. It's not just someone that's a founder or a solopreneur that makes their own decisions and you can just talk to them and a lot of times you can do one call closes or two call closes. With the B2B process, a little bit more time consuming, but the deals are usually much bigger, right? So you're not selling something for like 2K, 3K. Now you can talk about like $500,000 deals or seven-figure deals or whatever, depending on who you're selling to. So first, you need to build your list. We're going to touch on all of this in a few minutes, but you need to build your list. Then you need to actually figure out how to break the ice. So yesterday, we also covered some icebreaker DMs. And by the way, thanks, Robin, for sharing how you templatized. If you haven't been on Slack yet, Robin shared how he templatized the message sequence from yesterday and put it into a tool in his LinkedIn. Then you have the qualification process where then you need to qualify if they're even in the market for a solution, if they're going to be a right fit or not. Then you need to figure out, you actually need to do discovery on them and you need to figure out challenges, pain points, etc. After that, it's usually when you have a sales call to now present how you might be able to help. Then you move into proposal, and then finally proposal is usually negotiations also, and then closing. As you can see, it's a little bit more steps in this. And then sometimes, depending on how big the company is, you also have to deal with like their legal team and so on and so forth, right? So it's a lot more complicated. It doesn't mean that it's not worth it. It's much bigger contracts too, which can bring predictability and revenue for your business. So the first part that I'm going to share with you right now, actually I learned this. Wait a minute. Here we go. Back to this. What I'm about to share with you right now, this next part, I actually learned from someone that's personally closed $1 billion in sales. I have tested this as well. It's worked for us as well. So, what I'm about to share with you is not something that I just woke up and decided to put together on slides. If you do this, I know that the next couple of slides is going to maybe be a little overwhelming, but if it is, we'll just stop and go through it. Just let me know in the chat. But this is really how you start standing out from just everybody that's spraying and praying, and how you can start creating more opportunities for yourself. Like, this is where it all starts. So the first thing is breaking each component piece by piece. So the first thing is, how do we actually build a list, right? The first thing before you can actually build a list, you have to figure out a hypothesis. Then you have to figure out what kind of potential leads would, fit that hypothesis. Then you have to research that list. And then you can do something like hosting a roundtable. And after that, after all of that, you can finally figure out if it's worth having a one-on-one with you. So if I break this down step by step, recently, for example, I was prospecting SaaS companies, right? I was prospecting companies that had developed software solutions. And my hypothesis was, why are they hosting, like, are they hosting webinars with guest experts because they want to create more visibility, or is it because that they think it's going to generate more SaaS signups, right? SaaS is software as a service for anyone who doesn't know. So based on my experience and based on like this, it ties it all in together, right? Because we have like the growth report. So the case study that I showed you on day one, it ties it all in together because I'm here trying to prove, are they hosting these webinars for community or is it just for conversions? And a lot of the times they think it's for conversions. So in the case study, I outlined here why hosting webinars is not the best way to do it. And then I actually broke down in the first steps, I actually broke down how ClickFunnels grew to 360 million by not hosting webinars, rather hosting boot camps and challenges and stuff like that. So my theory is now to test how many companies are doing this, right? And this part is manual because now you have to research and Google these companies. So then I ask myself, well, why is it important for them to change? And the first important thing that I can think of is, well, they're wasting a lot of resources doing the webinars because webinars is not easy. You have to invite people, confirm them, create the interview, edit the video after it's done, post it, promote it. And what you don't realize that you're doing is by having that guest expert, they don't even care about your product at the end. They care about working with a guest expert. So then I have to think, okay, well, that's a really big gap, right? That's a really big pain. They think that they're doing this because it's going to drive more sales, but no, it's not helping them. So then I think, why change? Why them? Why now? These are all important questions to ask yourself. And if you think about it, every time that they're doing these things, again, they think that they're going to get results, but in reality, they're sending traffic elsewhere. So it's a pretty big thing. So now the idea is to now find companies. Now it's where testing starts, right? Now you have to start looking for companies that are hosting webinars. Maybe they're not hosting webinars because they don't have a team to do that yet. So, or maybe they are hosting webinars and they are bringing in a lot of guest experts, and that's great because they have the team to do it. They just need to tweak that. So you have to start, from your hypothesis. I'm not saying that this is going to be your hypothesis. It's just like, what I did. But from there, then you have to start figuring out, all right, well, what kind of companies, right? So you can check social media. Like there's a lot of ways to do this. You can check Sales Navigator, YouTube, Google, Twitter. You can find even their Instagrams. You can also check viewed your profile recently to see who's actually looking at your stuff. And that will also indicate, is the content that you're posting attracting the right people or is it not? And that's also something important to keep an eye out on. And then from there, you want to start sending also the 20 personalized connection requests that we talked about yesterday. Don't say anything generic like, hey, name, we're in the same industry. I thought I'd connect to explore synergies. They're getting like 1,000 of those a day from everyone that's using automated sequences. Instead, you want to use one of the icebreaker examples I talked about yesterday. You can start by asking an insightful or relevant question or anything like that. The goal is to start a conversation and to break the ice. So breaking it down, if we look at viewed your profile recently, are you guys following so far? You guys are with me? Yeah, okay, cool. So if we break it down to view your profile recently, you can go in your Sales Navigator under your leads and you can actually toggle this thing on that says view your profile recently. The problem is that there's 5,000 people, so doing research on 5,000 people is going to be a large task. And again, people that look at your profile are not leads, right? There are just potential people surfing LinkedIn, and that's totally fine. So 5,000 people viewed your profile. Just because they view or they're following, that doesn't mean they're leads. So that means you have to filter down with more triggers. So if we look at more triggers here, now I have people that view your profile. Let me zoom in here. people that view your profile. I have posted on LinkedIn so I can see who's actually active on LinkedIn. United States, because if we sell a high ticket offer to outside of the US conversion is not always the best. And then in the industry, in this scenario for SaaS, the industry would be software development. You can also test sometimes it's under like IT or internet or whatever. And then seniority level. So now we're starting to get closer to people that are viewing your profile, who are decision makers, who posted on LinkedIn, who are in the US, and who are in your idea of your hypothesis, right? And that's pretty much what this is. So now we have 19 results. It's a bit more manageable, but the only problem, does anyone see a problem with this one? So we have people in the US posted on LinkedIn, viewed your profile, with decision makers. Anyone see a problem with this one? Oh wait, I think I have to let you guys unmute 1 second. Just give me 1 quick second. All right, yeah. Whoever wants to unmute, you can unmute now. I
They're
can't
all
see it
second
clearly.
degrees, so you can't message them.
No. I mean in the triggers.
Oh, okay.
Could it be that the engineering function is not always the one that has control of the money to give you some money for your services?
Close. The problem with this is that the people that we're targeting, even though they're decision makers and they are on LinkedIn, it's not telling me still if they are solopreneurs or founders, right? Because a lot of us, when we're solopreneurs, when we're founders, we put CEO or we put, owner. So now you have that issue of maybe they are solopreneurs, so we have to filter that out. Robin, you have a question?
I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to know that Sean, I think Sean was talking about the engineering function at the top. And that's
here.
just, it looks like in Sales Navigator, it looks like that's selected, but that's a suggestion. But it's not really selected for the filtration.
Thank you for that,
Yeah.
Robin. There's the other thing. I'm so happy that you're touching on the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, because I've had a couple of peers attempt to try to use it, and it's been challenging for them. So this is valuable, and thank you, because it looks like an on-state. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't realize this. I thought you meant the engineering function here. Yeah, I didn't notice that. Yeah, so these are not selections. These are just like what LinkedIn is suggesting here and here and here. Only green is suggestions. So what we need to do now to filter out solopreneurs, right, is
I do have a quick question, actually.
Yeah.
About that. I'm a bit concerned always about like filtering too much. So like if I'm selecting like CXO, vice president, owner, like obviously those are the people that I'm like trying to target. But then I don't like, sometimes I think that they don't denote themselves like that in LinkedIn, and I might be like, some people might be slipping through the gaps and stuff, and that's obviously not a problem when you have like 5,000 people to select from. But what is your experience? Do you know, like if it's playing around with the current job title, the seniority level, or this kind of thing, like just a small selection there?
Yeah, so I'm gonna show you a few examples over the next
Okay.
few slides of how I start like altering this. But yeah, I mean ultimately you want to hyper target, because if you have a really large list, then it becomes really unmanageable to do research on them. So what we're doing with this one is view your profile, so they have somewhat an idea of who you are. It's lower hanging fruit. Post it on LinkedIn so that you know that you're not reaching out to people that are not active on LinkedIn and you're wasting your 20 connections a day. And then that's the psychology behind those two. And then everything on this side is going to be a lot of just testing. Like I see in the comments, someone said, a couple of people said current job title 100%. And one of the examples in a few minutes, I'll show you that as well. But yeah, I think when it comes down to Sales Navigator, it's a lot of it is just like testing and it's hypothesis, right? You have to treat this as a science experiment. Who can you reach out to? Who might be ideal decision makers and stuff like that? So that's a great question. Laura, you have a question?
Yeah, quick question. Have you used the new persona? workflow?
So yeah, I have actually saved a few, but I don't think I actually saved an example for this call.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's also another great feature down here. Rich, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick one. It seems to me that you're doubling up if you're choosing viewed your profile recently and posted on LinkedIn. I could see why you would use one or the other, depending on what you were doing. But using both seems like you are going to be filtering people out who. So, for example, viewed your profile recently. That means they know who you are. It also means they're active on LinkedIn.
No, it just means that they posted on LinkedIn is going to be a higher likelihood that they reply, like that they're actually looking at their DMs and stuff like that.
Sure. I guess I suppose it depends on like somebody else just mentioned. I guess it depends on how big your initial pool is, as to kind of how much you would want to filter it. Because we know, right, that there's lots of people that are lurkers.
Yeah.
Especially I think kind of CEOs as well. I think a lot of them are. Some kind of really embrace it, and some are nervous about posting and kind of their things being taken the wrong way. But they are on there, and they are looking at your profile. So viewed your profile recently would pull them up. But I guess it all depends on how much, how big your initial pool is. If you can tick both and still have a good number to go for, then great. But I suspect some of us, or certainly me, won't have as many profile views as you. Kind of when I do that first filter. But so I just wanted to kind of understand that. But yeah, cool. Thanks,
Yeah,
Izzy.
so you can start playing around with these. Like in the next examples, I'll show you that I start turning these off and stuff like that. But the whole goal is to try to keep this list manageable because you have to do a lot of research on them.
Yeah.
So I like to start with lowest hanging fruit, and lowest hanging fruit is probably going to be the profile viewed and also active. I understand also that there's a lot of people that are afraid to post for their jobs. I get that part. But so then that would be kind of like if you start thinking lower hanging fruit, start with that. And then maybe the next degree is like, okay, what about people not posting? Right now you have a second degree, then you have third degree. And I'm going to show you guys like how to, or not degree, level, right? Different levels. I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides also how to start filtering those out. Crystal, you have a question?
Yeah, so you said that you have a total of 20 connection requests per day. Is that if you have Sales Navigator, or if you don't have Sales Navigator, you only have 20?
So there's a lot of gray area on this. Like some people say it's more than 20 with Sales Nav, other people say it's not. With LinkedIn, there's been a lot of research that like you're maxed at like 100. Some people go over 100 and nothing happens. Some people go over like, I know some people sent like 200 in a week and then got banned for like 2 weeks or whatever. So I think it's one of those things to stay safe. I would just keep it 20 a day. I haven't, but also like when you're doing this, there's really it's really hard to hit 20 a day. Like if you're hitting 20 a day and you're going through the actual process, it's actually very challenging to do that. Laura, you have a question?
I was just going to say said they are limiting it to 10 to 15 a day for the free version, but that's being rolled out. So you may find one day you can do it and one day you can't.
Yeah, I think just test it because there's a lot of things happening with the algorithm. I heard the other day also you can only do like 3 or 5 with personalization. So anyways, don't get too like stuck with that. The more that you use LinkedIn, the more you're also telling LinkedIn that you're an active user. So you just have to make sure that you're getting engagement back so that LinkedIn doesn't just think you're spamming everybody. All right, let's keep going so I can show you the rest examples. And the people that I reached out, or the people that I'm starting to select here, I saw in the chat, H Deli, I guess. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But anyways, the people that you are selecting here, someone said, are they actually not gonna have time to respond? That's actually not true. Because remember, we're leading with value, so like it's going to be in their best interest to reply as soon as you send a message, right? So you can go back to the icebreakers from yesterday to kind of get those in there. So yeah, so the answer is company head count. We filter down by company head count. Anyone under 10, it's obviously going to be a small team, a startup. Now over the next few years, we're going to see a shift in that because AI is going to help you do more with less. But for now, you can see that anyone over 10 is, realistically, they're going to be a bigger company. So now what happens is we now have 8 results. And 8 results, remember, they viewed my profile, they posted on LinkedIn. So it's probably more if I remove some triggers. But or 8, yeah, 8 results. I wrote that down. So now we have 8 results. Maybe they're aware of what we do. They've viewed our profile, so maybe they are aware. Maybe they don't remember us at all, right? That's also another possibility. Maybe they just viewed your profile but do not remember you. So what you need to then do, and then here's a few more examples. Now here, let's say we did, I did a little bit more. I did second degree connections, did not view profile. So second degree connections posted on LinkedIn, but did not view profile. I expanded the company count. I start playing around with some triggers here to see what comes up. Start playing around with some triggers here to see what comes up. And now we have 8. So between the 8 above and now these new 8 people, there's 16 potentials. Then I do it one more time, and now I add privately held. And now I add way more job titles: CMOs, head of marketing, head of growth, VP of marketing, marketing director, VP of growth. I added more titles, and now I have 34 results. So 34 plus 16, what is that, like 50? And then what you can also do is at the top. So here at the very top, you can save the search. And I recommend doing that when you find a good search. Toggle this on to save your search. And then you'll see like something like this. Whenever new people show up to your search, it'll say, hey, 106 new results since whenever. So then you can click that and you can constantly be up, like your list can constantly be populated by LinkedIn. So save the search, test different triggers just to see what comes up for you and stuff like that. And then what you want to do is on your sales navigator, you're going to organize your list. And this is how I organize mine. You guys can organize it however you want to, but this is how I organize mine. I have my research list. I have my connection sent. I have my icebreaker folder, my leads invited to roundtable folder, leads confirmed to roundtable, leads roundtable follow-up, meaning the people that showed up, right? These are the people I need to follow up with. Anyone that didn't show to the roundtable, the ones that booked a discovery call, and then ones that didn't book a discovery call and need to be nurtured. So this is how I organize it instead of Sales Navigator, so I can keep track of the stages that they're in. And the research is not something that I've already like sent a connection to or anything. This is just where I'm like saving them so I can do some research, do some digging around, and then whenever I'm doing my prospecting for the day, I start here or I start with like the ones that need to be followed up or nurtured or whatever. All right. So, okay, you have a question?
Yeah, you might have explained this before, but what do you mean by roundtable?
Yeah, I'm gonna touch into that in a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now we're just at the very top of it. So
Can I ask quickly, where's
Yeah.
this list is like a screenshot from somewhere, but is
Sales
this
Nav.
like a yeah, but did you save like is this like the saved lists
Yeah.
view?
So
Then okay. And
so
so
yeah.
so you
So you have the saved searches. That's different. The
Hmm.
lead list. This is a lead list,
Lead list.
not an account list. A lead list.
Yeah. So you manually basically move them from one to the other when you've been.
Sorry, one second. Let me
Oh.
mute. What was that? Sorry.
So you manually move them from one to the next, is
Yeah.
that right? Okay.
Yeah. There are people that use automations. I don't use automations inside of LinkedIn because I don't want to get banned, but there are people that use like Dripify and stuff like that. Expandy, I think, is another one. I just try to stay away from all of that. So, like I said, it is a little bit of a manual process, this part, but it makes the whole difference. So is it H Dealey?
Yes.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi. My question, we normally target local companies. Can we use the same strategy for local companies? How do I
Yeah,
target
you
if
just
I want to target someone in, let's say, Dallas in Texas? Because most of our clients are more local. So can the same strategy work?
Yeah, you just search by here. You see where it says country?
Yeah.
You would in geography, you just put Dallas, Texas. You can do that.
Okay.
geography.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
All right.
also something I forgot to mention in this one, in this particular search, I also added a keyword up here. So you can also test different keywords, right? And
Okay.
yeah. So that's another thing you can also do.
All right. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, so now you want to research your list. So that means you're going to look at their companies, you're going to gather data from their companies for your hypothesis, right? In my case, are you running webinars? You're going to check their investor relations section if they have one. You're going to check their media mentions or press releases. You're going to understand who the decision makers are and who does it affect on a day-to-day basis, right? So who are the decision makers, and then who are the employees actually dealing with the pain? Because the decision makers are just like, oh, whatever, the team can handle it, but you don't know what their day-to-day is actually like, right? So there is research that goes into this. You can use this tool like the org.com to see to see how the organization is broken down. So in the org.com, you can, I think you have like some free credits and then it turns into a subscription. But in here, you can Google any of these companies and see how is the organization structure broken down. So you can see like who's part of the marketing team, who's part of, whatever. And that way you can just understand who are the other people you can start connecting with. And then you want to look up their company data on Sales Navigator as well. So when you click on the company, you're going to also want to check the decision makers. Right? So I click decision makers and now I have my decision makers here pulled up. There's 6 of them. Now, I'm not going to reach out to all of them, right? Like maybe the founder's too busy or the CEO's too busy. So in my case, I would reach out to the VP. I would reach out maybe to the director of growth, probably the CEO, depending on the side of the company. I probably would hold off on the CEO for now. And then also the managing director is probably not going to be much use for me. So if I want to understand real problems inside of the department, I want to start with the departments. Depending on what you're selling, maybe you actually need to start with the CEO or the CFO or the COO, whatever. But that's usually like where I start. They're still decision makers. They still have, usually they have budget within their organizations and they are closer to the problem as well and can do something about it. Then you want to check their growth insights, right? So the growth insights, yeah, Sean, the decision makers, if you click on the company, there's this thing that says decision makers. And then that's how I pulled up the decision makers here. I just clicked here and it took me to this page. So then you can check out their growth insights. So in this case, for example, they have employee count, distribution, new hires, job openings, persona, stuff like that. So when you have like, for example, distribution, you have here you can, sorry, this is the headcount, right? So headcount growth, you can see that there's 2%, 5%, 5% growth in these places. Business development, there's 20% growth, 33% growth, right? So like this is indicating that they're growing in these areas. Check the job openings, see what they're hiring, and see if there's any way that you can find alignment. Now that you have the company pulled up, you could also check for similar companies. So now your lead list starts expanding, right? Because now you have other companies that you can look into that Sales Navigator recommended that are similar, if this falls into your ideal buyer persona. So this is Sales Navigator on LinkedIn. So then you want to gather intel on their company. Before I dive into this, is everyone okay? Everyone following along so far?
I just
Okay,
have
cool.
one question because I can't find it. How much is Sales Navigator? Do you know?
I think it's like $99 a month.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I don't know.
But you can
Go ahead.
I got I can't really afford that either, but I got 2 months for free by a like request like a referral. So if anyone wants to try it, I have 2, so I can give 2 away. I don't really care who gets them. And then you try it for 2 months, and then you cancel, and then they will offer you 2 months for 1. So you get like basically you get 4 months for the price of 1 at the end, and then it costs like $100 a month. So just have to. Yeah.
It's a nice ninja hack.
Yeah, that's what I'm about.
I got it through I got a notification on my phone. So this is the part that I think is strange. When I go on my computer, it's like $119 a month, but I got a notification on my phone through the app, and I just bought it through the app from my phone, and it was like $99 a month. So I don't know if also buying it from device is different. But yeah, anyways, at the end of the day, like these types of tools are tools that are meant to help you generate more revenue, right? So I understand if in the beginning you don't have budget for it. That's why yesterday I showed you how to do this without these types of tools. But if you are like you don't have to go through all these tools to figure this out. You can just create a list of like 10 companies and then start from there. But if you do have access to tools, it'll make everything a little bit easier. And again, the whole purpose is to help you generate more revenue and make it faster. Rich, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick addition on that point. For people who maybe see the subscription as a bit expensive, it's something that someone told me about, and it does work. But what I would suggest is if people kind of created well, not suggest, this is just something I've been told, but but you might want to attach it to your primary LinkedIn. So if you supposing you created a new LinkedIn account, if you set your location on LinkedIn to Istanbul in Turkey, then Sales Navigator is $7 per month. But use people's risk, right? I'm just sharing some intel because of location-based pricing.
So I don't know, like you probably have to use like a VPN or something, right?
You don't need to, no.
Oh, really?
No.
That's
So
how I got like the
like
Adobe suite for like €3. It's crazy. Like it actually worked.
Anyone on here, you would need to definitely use it at your own risk, and I would suggest that if you created a dummy, a whole dummy LinkedIn account, and then set your slightly, efficient pricing, should we say, for Sales Nav up on that one, so that there isn't really any recourse, and it doesn't kind of jeopardize your primary LinkedIn account. But I have done it, so I know that it works, and it's just because of the exchange rates, right?
That's interesting. Yeah, I guess there's a lot of ways to go around it, but yeah, I mean, Rob is right in the chat too. Let's all make so much money, and none of this matters. Yeah, there are a lot of ways around it. You could always go through like Google or Perplexity or whatever just to keep it like free. You could also do like a bunch of free trials with like different companies, but I think Rich said Istanbul, right? Istanbul, yeah. So yeah, anyways, so let's keep moving here. So what you want to do is you want to look at when you go on their website, right? This is the part that you don't need Sales Nav for. If you have your ideas of companies just by looking at LinkedIn companies inside of your personal account, if you don't want to use Sales Nav, you can look at something like their news and updates. So here, for example, it'll tell you anything that they're working on, et cetera, and you can start gathering more information about them. But like they don't have investor relations, for example. So I just went to Amazon, a bigger company, and they do have investor relations. And in here, you can actually, this is all like money related. It's what they're communicating to their investors. So in here, you can actually start going through their annual reports and stuff like that, and it'll start showing you what are they focusing on. So let's look at the fourth quarter, for example. I might have to open this in a new tab. Here we go. All right, well, that's loading. The other thing that you can look at is their case studies to see what are the companies that they're servicing, what are the results that they're getting. You can also determine how much, like, areas of improvement based on their case studies and stuff like that. And then you can check out their resources. Like this, Surfy has like the resources tab. You can see what they're doing. Again, in this case, my thing that I'm trying to prove is companies that are doing webinars versus not. So in this case, if I see like Surfy's not doing webinars, I reached out already to the VP of marketing at Surfy and I asked if they had plans to do webinars, and they are planning to do webinars, and they think that it's going to generate them more revenue. So it's my perfect ideal avatar, right? So now you want to start going through these companies and you want to prove out hypotheses like LeapSum, another type of SaaS company. They're doing podcasts. But they're also doing some other cool stuff. Like they have the Knowledge Hub and stuff like that. So now I have to figure out from all the information that I'm seeing, I have to figure out how do I fit my stuff into what they're doing? How can I make their stuff more effective? How can I improve their solutions so that I can actually, when I have a conversation with someone on their team, it will be fruitful for both parties. Going back to the investor relations, let's see if this loads finally. So in here, they're talking, it's all money, right? So they're telling you like things that they're investing in, they're telling you things that they're doing good, gains, losses, all of that information. So this is where you can actually start making moves, like especially a lot of these big companies are going to be talking a lot about like AI and stuff like that. So you can just study what they're saying, and then from there you can have a better understanding of where the company is at, what they're working on, ways that you can actually merge forces and stuff like that. So it makes sense so far? So there's a lot of resources that you can use, again, without Sales Navigator. Just use their actual resources, go on their websites, go on their investor relations, go on their press releases, study them. This is the manual part, and this is why it's hard to even hit 10 to 20 a day, because you're being very, very strategic and hyper targeted. And if we go back to day one, when I was saying, like, if you focus on one thing, you're going to be more than likely to achieve it, versus if you try to do 10,000 things at once. Same thing happens with lead generation. If you focus on a handful of leads, it's going to be far more effective and fruitful than if you focus on 100. And if you think about it, when you're applying for jobs, right? Same thing. When you're applying for jobs, usually you focus on a couple of them, and when you do a lot of research on the company, you usually get the job, right? So it's the same thing when you have your own business. You have to do your research. You have to do your due diligence. You can review the company pages. That's fine. That's part of your research and gathering intel. We kind of did that in this stage a little bit. We looked at their company page and went through all the stats. But then you want to take it one step deeper. Now you know the company, you know what they're focused on, so now you can actually align yourself to their goals, and now you research the decision makers. So in this case, I just picked one from the list. I don't know who this person is. I just clicked it, and I use this tool, Human Linker. Do your own research and use it with caution, because I know LinkedIn is weird with this kind of stuff. But there's other tools like Crystal Knows, there's Humantic, and a bunch of others. I like Human Linker because on the side here you have his profile thing shows up with his disc ID. So in this case, he's an influencer, and you can see like there's some examples here that you can see here, or not examples, some suggestions that if you are in a call, make sure that you act this way. When you send an email, make sure that you send an email with this kind of information. When you organize the meeting, make sure that you show up to the meeting like this. Then it tells you a little bit more about their personality. It tells you a little bit more about their disc, right? And then here it's going to tell you things that this person naturally tends to do, can naturally be stressed out by, and then can naturally be motivated by. So if this person hates, overly factual and lackluster discussions, showing up, like talking to this person about stats is probably going to like scare him off, right? Whereas stats with someone else might be more interesting. But with this person, prioritize innovation and excitement. You can start a conversation with this guy, like research his company, research what he's doing, and then just talk about like exciting things that are happening in his space. Like, AI is innovating the way that marketing is changing. Like, what are you guys doing over there? What are you guys working on? What are you guys, any cool tools that you've discovered? Like things like that. Just spark a conversation. Doesn't necessarily have to go straight into sales or stats. Every person's going to be different. That's why I was saying yesterday, learn the framework and then personalize it based on the person. Okay, so it makes sense? And here it tells you like Human Linker, Humantic, Crystal Knows, all these companies, they pretty much give you like a little cheat sheet on who these people are and how to interact with them. So this next part I'm going to share with you is the roundtables. This I learned from an 8-figure corporate consultant, and this is very effective. I've used this multiple times to break into a lot of circles and a lot of industries and a lot of companies that normally wouldn't have been possible without this. So this is one of the strategies that I use to accelerate my strategic positioning and also to be seen as a trusted expert with people that I said, like normally it's like you wouldn't really have access to a lot of these people. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And this is the roundtable strategy. So no, I do not use VPN. So what you want to do is you want to host a roundtable. What a roundtable means is this is basically a virtual event hosted via Zoom, Google Meets, Microsoft Teams, or anything like that. In the beginning, you're gonna want to stay away from making this complicated. So don't do this in person. Like, just honestly, just do it online. It's easier. You can get more people involved faster. And if you do it in person, you're gonna have to deal with booking a meeting room, a shared space or something, bringing everyone together and stuff like that. There are big companies that do in-person roundtables, but you're not, a lot of you guys aren't in big companies yet, so don't get too stressed out by doing this virtual. It's honestly, it's a lot easier virtual. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna create your lead list. You're gonna gather about 50 to 100 people. Today, I showed you how I gathered 50, and just by using those triggers. From those people, you're going to now start doing a little bit of research and sending out those connections daily. 10 to 20. Honestly, it's very hard to hit that when you do all this work. It is a lot of work, but once you have a clear understanding on how the company is, it's so much easier for you not just to break in, but to know who else you can reach out to, right? A lot of these companies, they have more than 20 people. So if you don't get one of them to reply, you can get maybe their coworker or another coworker or another department, right? So it's really hard, and that's why you want to focus on the company as a whole, understanding how the organization chart breaks down. So send anywhere from 10 to 20 personalized connections daily. Use the examples I shared with you on the icebreakers yesterday. You can use a similar style of conversation to break the ice. And one thing is that you want to make sure that you only invite decision makers to the roundtable, and you invite people of the same caliber. So if you're inviting to talk about AI marketing, for example, if you're inviting the CMO of Coca-Cola to talk about how they're using AI with their commercials and everything they're doing, don't invite the CMO of your local animal hospital. It's completely different calibers of people. So part of the roundtable, what makes it so helpful is that you're creating an exclusive event of people of the same caliber to come together and discuss an important topic that's relevant to their industry right now. And in this stage, it's better if you don't invite outside speakers, don't invite vendors, don't, like, literally, this is your place for you to position yourself. Don't dilute your own sales opportunity. Don't give them options, just the decision makers and you. That's it. Otherwise, if you start bringing in like a buddy and a friend and all these things, and I've seen this like multiple times in the past, same thing happens with webinars and SaaS. Don't bring in guest experts. You're sending your traffic to them, right? So same thing with roundtables. Don't bring in guest experts. You're diluting your chance to actually be positioned as the guest expert for you to monetize that relationship. So you want to get confirmation from about 10 to 13 people from all the people that you start networking with. And the day of the event, about half of them will cancel. This happens every time. A last minute meeting, a fire at work, they don't really they decided that they didn't really want to go to this, they don't care anymore. So about half of them will cancel, which will leave you with about 5 to 8 people, which is exactly what you want. I've done this a lot of times where I can tell you 10 to 13 is a sweet spot so that you can end up with 5 to 8 in the round table. If you only aim for 5 to 8, when half of them canceled, you're going to be left with 2 or 3. It's not going to be fun, right? Or maybe 1, and it's going to be awkward. And that's happened to me before. I didn't invite more. I invited like a couple, and then I was left with 1 person, and it was interesting. So so anyways, that's essentially what you want to do. Aim for 13 confirmations and then boil it down to 5, and then 5 to 8 will will show up. Kay, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, how do you sell them on the value of the roundtable? How do you explain to them the benefit of coming to the roundtable?
So this is a great question. So this is the roundtable is not a webinar. Like, you're not the presenter. You're just you're building community within the decision makers. So you're bringing in leaders. So for example, when you get the first yes, let's say you get the yes of the CMO of Coca-Cola. Now the next invite that you send out is you say like, hey, I'm bringing together CMOs of, I don't know, Fortune 500s, and I already invited some people. The CMO of Coca-Cola said he's joining, or she's joining, I don't know. Would you do you want to come? Do you want to join us? It's only going to be a handful of us. Do you want to join us? So you start leveraging each other. But in the beginning, when you're just starting to get the first yes or the first couple of yeses, you can say like you plan on inviting these kinds of people. So I'm only reaching out to like these kinds of people. I'm planning on inviting like this person, no confirmations yet. Would you like to join? This is not, oh, and include, this is not a sales pitch. Make sure you include that because a lot of companies also have used this to sell you on their stuff. This is not a sales pitch. All you want to do here is break the ice and position you as the trusted expert in this scenario. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so are you just saying the purpose of this is for them to share ideas with each other kind of thing?
So the purpose of this is to have an exclusive discussion on industry insights affecting insert topic.
Perfect.
AI marketing, I don't know, whatever, insert whatever. So Rob is asking a similar question. What is the theme or topic of the roundtable structure? So that's a great question. Theme is going to be, as you're doing your research, this is a great question. As you're doing your research, going through investor relations, going through media, going through resources, you're now going to start figuring out if your hypothesis makes sense, right? If they do, for example, in my case, if they're doing webinars and they're bringing guest experts, how many of them are growing? Can we track growth? Can we see what's happening? Can I, from the information that's readily available on the internet, can I make better insights? So if I was to like only invite SaaS leaders that are hosting webinars, then my theme would be how to maximize conversions with virtual events. They're already open to doing webinars. So virtual events, they're going to classify that as a webinar, and they're going to be interested because clearly the webinars isn't really leading to sales, right? It's leading to maybe like some more exposure, but it's not necessarily leading to sales as they think it is. So I'm going to pick from my hypothesis, I'm going to pick based on the research that I've done, I'm going to pick a theme. And this, I know it sounds easier said than done. It did take me a long time to like master this and become easy, like faster and easier with this. But in the beginning, like it's going to take a lot longer. And as you get better at this, the faster everything becomes. Sorry, my dog is in the background. So as an there's another question. As an example, I already have 6K first connection on LinkedIn. Can I filter the list and do a roundtable with my existing connections? You can, but like I said, just keep it to small event decision makers only. So yes,
just I was going to piggyback off of Kay's question. So basically, the value proposition is exclusivity of a topical conversation amongst high caliber possible business connections.
Yeah, it's exactly high caliber, high industry conversation, very, very intimate. It's not open to the public. It's invite only.
And so that's like, and then that would draw them in, or it could draw in. So that's why you go for 25 and hopefully you get the 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
And there's a question from Baron in the chat who says, what if they're competitors? So if there's a really big, if they're like a really big account, you can invite multiple people on their marketing team. So it can be an industry workshop for their marketing team or their whatever team, right? So their sales team, whatever it is you're doing. But for the most part, you know, a lot of the times they all want to learn, and a lot of the times they're already meeting in other places. They're already like, you know, when you go to like these networking events, these like whatever, these like conferences or whatever, a lot of the times they're already meeting and sharing the same information. So you're just creating that space and ultimately not just to like create that community, but ultimately like to position yourself. So if anyone does have any issues, they just won't show, or they'll tell you like I can't do that because of my contract or whatever. You can record it if you want to. You just have to ask permission. So during the roundtable, moving into doing the roundtable, again, the goal is not for this to be a sales pitch. You do not want to do that, but you do want to be the facilitator. So you can prepare a list of questions from your research ahead of time. You could also pull all of your research into ChatGPT and ask it to come up with insightful questions based on this. You just want to guide an industry discussion. You do not want to present. You don't want to be the webinar. You don't want to be a trainer. No. Put that aside. You just want to be a facilitator. Because what happens is, it's very psychological, but what happens is, if I say right now, 86% of CEOs are 86% of CEOs are prioritizing AI in their marketing strategy. Are you? And now if you're a CMO and you're not doing that, now you're going to say, wait, are we? Right? And now you're going to think about it. And because no one has asked you that, you haven't thought about it. So a lot of the times, if you realized, if you realize like the best conversations that you have with people are the conversations with where people like whenever you have a conversation with someone and you ask all these different questions and they talk, they're going to a lot of times feel like, wow, that was the best discussion I've ever had, because people love talking, they love talking about themselves, and it's all very psychological, right? So if we know that they love talking about themselves, and we know that they love feeling smart, and we know that they love feeling like they're in a collaborative ecosystem or whatever, then that means that they're going to want to answer those questions, and they're going to walk away feeling like that was so good, even though you barely said a few words. Right? And because you were there, they're going to attach that feeling to you. So it's all very psychological. But the thing is also, if you understand the problems better than they do, this is another psychological thing. If you understand the problems better than they do, then you also must understand the solution. So if you're able to see something that they don't see because they're so in the trenches and they're in their tunnel vision, right, in their day-to-day, and you come in with a fresh perspective because you're not in their day-to-day and you bring that fresh perspective, then that's going to be super valuable for them too. So you can share some value, like as you're going through questions, you can insert your opinion, but don't turn it into a webinar with slides and stuff like that. Like don't make it, too webinar feeling. And at the end of the whole thing, again, this is not a sales pitch, so at the end you can just do a soft call to action. If you want to explore further, we can schedule a call, we can talk individually, we can take the conversation offline and connect further. So you can invite them to join a call, but you don't want to lead with that. You don't want to lead with a sales pitch. I see a couple of questions here in the chat. Roundtable is like a mini mastermind think tank. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Rob, you nailed it there. It's mastermind facilitator is a great way to position it psychologically to that caliber DM, decision maker. And then based on the 4 to 8 attendees, what is the typical duration to ensure everyone gets plenty of talk time? So you can test this. I've tried anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. I've seen both. Some people have to drop off at the 30-minute mark, and that's fine. So I think you'll find your own like sweet spot, but for the most part, you can keep it to 30, 45, 60 minutes. You can do like lunch and learns also. Like if you pick people on the East Coast, you can filter down by location. So you can pick people on the East Coast and do 12 p.m. You can pick then a whole group for the West Coast and do 12 p.m. Because these are private, you can do these as many as you want per week. Just know that each one is going to require a certain level of preparation. But ultimately, like you're able, because these are private, you don't have to do many of these. I mean, sorry, you can do as many of these, but you just need to know that it's going to require some preparation. After the roundtable is over, then you're going to send out an email recapping the event. You're going to send out the replay if you were able to record it and you got everyone's consent that you were going to record it. Remember, this is not something to be posted online. This is a private recording, so make sure that everybody respects that and understands that. Because if you are sharing industry insights also, like you got to make sure that this doesn't hit, social media. And if they do have, what you can do is at the beginning of the call, you can ask to take a screenshot, so you can take a picture of all of you guys together and say like, these are the previous attendees for future. Ask if they have any other colleagues that they can refer to future roundtables. So again, always get referrals. And then again, invite them to a one-on-one to dive in deeper with you. And now is when the sales process actually begins. Because at this stage, you've gotten to know them better, you've positioned yourself, you have broken the ice, you have now become a trusted advisor in their eyes. And in the roundtable, you were also able to uncover some pain points that they're having. You were able to also learn the language that they use to refer to the problems. So now is when you can actually start qualifying them and scheduling those calls. Sorry, I don't know what's happening with my dog back there, but you can start scheduling those calls. And this is not, the one-on-one is not necessarily a pitch, right? So that's a great question, Rob. The one-on-one is just a discovery call to dive deeper about their problems so that you can then schedule a sales call, going back to the beginning here. So you can then schedule a sales call, and after you schedule this, where is it? After you schedule the sales call is usually when like the whole proposal, all of that happens. So the whole point, what you're doing in the roundtable is you're pretty much doing these two together. And then you're having your discovery call, and then your sales call comes after the discovery call as a second call. And then your proposal and your negotiation happens after that. So where are we here? We're here. I think we did this. Yeah, after the roundtable. All right. Any other questions? I'll go on to the next stage. Other ways to generate B2B leads. Sorry,
Just
what was your question?
yeah, real quick. About the during. Do you set, as a facilitator, do you set an agenda in advance? Is it free talking? How does it work?
Yeah, based on your research, you want to have an agenda for sure. You want to have some questions already on the side, and just make sure that when you're on the actual call, naturally the call is going to take a detour because it's just a conversation, right? You ask a question, so start by introducing each other, right? Like, who am I? What do I do? Go around the virtual roundtable, go around the Zoom room. And then after everyone starts sharing like what they do, then say like, okay, we're going to talk about, it's going to be a productive discussion. We're going to talk about these things. I'm going to ask you some questions. And then you guys can all chime in. You can do it organized where each person gives a reply, or you can just kind of do it like popcorn. Whoever wants to reply, you move on to the next one. That part, you can decide how you do that. And then after you do the questions and all of that, then this is where now you want to do so after you do whenever it starts becoming, like popcorn or whatever, now this is the part where you can actually start figuring out any other questions that pop up. If it goes a certain direction, redirect them back to the topic. If it takes a different direction, it's no longer supporting the whole call, reroute them. Like if they start talking about their dogs or their cats or whatever, bring them back. Bring them back, because naturally we're human, right? We're gonna want to try to connect on that level. Which you can, but always bring them back to highlight pain points, essentially, or getting them to think about pain points. That's the whole point of insightful discussion, right? Getting them to think about pain points. What are they doing right now? How can they do it differently? Maybe they haven't had time to like look at how inefficient their process is. A lot of the times it's very outdated stuff. Some companies don't even have CRMs or systems. So you want to make sure you spend some time talking about all these things and ways that they can improve, or giving each other ideas as well.
Great, thank you.
Of course. All right. So other ways to do B2B lead gen, probably won't have enough time to. There's honestly so much we don't have enough time to go through the whole bootcamp. But other ways, you can do cold email. You can use enrichment tools to send out those cold emails. Like you can use Play or Folk or whatever. You can buy verified lead lists. You could run LinkedIn ads. You can figure out partnerships, referral networks, masterminds, and a series of other ways. Unfortunately, we won't have enough time to go through all of that during this bootcamp, but the Sales Navigator, if you're able to get Sales Navigator, that is a really strong way. And if not, just go through their websites and stuff like that. But ultimately, what I wanted to share with you guys today also is how, if you already found everything you found valuable so far, imagine what it would be like if like we could continue working together on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis. So what I wanted to share with you also is how you can also continue working with us. So if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to just pause for like a couple minutes just to share. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, Sean. Cool. Okay, cool. So I've created this thing called the 1% AI Elite Ecosystem. Basically, what this is in the past, I've created these multiple systems and offers, and I realized that the one most important thing out of all is as we're growing, we're able to collaborate with each other, refer each other business, learn from each other, and so on and so forth. So the 1% Elite Ecosystem is basically this hub that I've created, and I'm bringing in guest experts, guest coaches, people that have like, there's one of our coaches, for example, he already sold 7 figures and he sold his agency, sold multiple SaaS products, specializes in virtual events and stuff like that. So we're bringing in like the best of the best. We're also, as part of the ecosystem, we're also giving access to all of our courses, our custom GPTs, to help you figure out how to automate a lot of things like your AI funnel builder, for example, the things that we talked about today, the case study, the roundtable, boot camps. We've created like automated sequences to build those funnels already, so you can have your funnel up and running pretty fast. We also include an all-in-one CRM that has all the tools in one. So if you guys know Go High Level, we give you access to Go High Level without having to pay anything extra. And and some of the courses that we have on there now, aside from how to grow your LinkedIn, aside from how to host your roundtable, step-by-step process, how to host your bootcamp, also step-by-step process. Some other things that we have now is like the TikTok marketing class, how to launch your own GPTs, how to land a client, AI essentials, etc. It's an AI marketing, for example. And other things that we're bringing in a course a month. The next one that's coming out is going to be how to actually effectively launch cold email, how to use AI tools for that. And you'll also get a shirt. The shirt design's not final just because we're in the middle of finding our founding members. So once we have the founders in there, I think there's about like 15 in there so far. Just whenever we'll take a vote on which shirt design we'll go through. So in short, we created an ecosystem that really makes it hard for you to fail. We give you the resources, right? The courses, the GPTs, etc. We give you the support you need, the expert coaches, tech support, all of that. And then we also give you the tools, the CRM, the automated funnel builder, course portal, affiliate manager, and so much more. So the only rule that we have, if you would like to continue with us, the only rule that we have is that you must be committed for growth, and you must be committed to trying to be 1% better every day. If you're the type of person that likes to be a Debbie Downer, likes to complain about everything and thinks that the world is out to get you, it's probably not for you. And the reason is because we want to build a community that's like super strong, that really has visionaries and all of that. So you can click this link if you'd like to join. Right now it's 50% off, which means that it's $500 a month, $497 a month. We'll give you access to everything. You can also choose if you do quarterly, biannual, or annual. And the biggest thing behind all of this is as we start rolling this out over the next 3 to 6 months, we plan to raise the price. So in the next week or so, we're going to elevate the price probably to $597 a month, and then incrementally over the next 3 to 6 months until we get to $997 a month. So if you were to join the 1% now, whatever price you lock in, you keep that for the remainder of being active with a 1%. The whole goal is to help you actually generate more revenue, help you build your business using LinkedIn and all of this. And it's month to month. So if you decide to join 1 month and then cancel, that's totally fine. So I'll drop the link here if anyone would like to learn more. If you want to ask me any questions about this, feel free to do that. Andrew, you have a question?
Hi, Izzy. Yes, I do. Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you for that. That was my question at first, but that generated another question because I was thinking, okay, 50% off. I was trying to sign up. I was about to sign up for the 1% yesterday or this morning. I forget which one, but I was wondering whether it was half off of the $497 or was the $497 already half off?
Yeah, that is the half off. $497 is the half off, and so if you look at everything that's included, the version of Go High Level that we're giving you is $297 a month, and then in addition we're adding, like, you don't have to pay Go High Level. You like we're including that into it, and then all the courses, coaches, everything else.
Got it. So let me ask you something, Izzy, because I just had some major situations going on. How long before the 1%? If I was to sign up right away, I need to get to the money fast. I want to get to making money or creating something really quickly. I got some ideas. I got a couple digital done for you services I wanted to put in place. How long will it take to see, in your opinion, somebody is ready to go, a return or some engagement or some monetization right away?
It's a great question. So if you're applying what you learned, it can be fast. Like the people that posted, even the bootcamp, right? The people that posted on day one, you should already have some conversation started with potential leads. So it really just works as fast as you work, or as fast as you implement. I've had people in the past, in the last bootcamp, I had someone that first day of being in the bootcamp booked a call. So even just by being in the bootcamp, I've already showed you a lot of ways to monetize immediately. Once you're in the program, it really just depends on how fast. Some sales cycles might be a little bit slower, right? So if you're selling to enterprise, it will take a little bit longer. But if you already have like the things that you need, if you have access to people that might be willing to buy, then a lot of times it's just packaging the offer and putting it in front of them. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. I just, that was it. And the conversational AI, the agents that you have, we go over that tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, we're gonna cover the how to set up your AI agent tomorrow.
Okay, got it. And so with that in mind, I mean, it should be, and that's where people are making the AI is actually making the phone calls like a telemarketer almost, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
absolutely. So tomorrow we'll talk about that a little bit more, and I'll show you how to implement it inside of your processes too. I won't necessarily touch on like how to use it to cold call. There are a lot of like gray areas with cold calling. So, but I will teach you how to like install it inside of your current system so it can act as an appointment setter with your current lead flow.
Okay, got it. So when you get somebody to raise their hand, I'm interested, then it will set them. It'll work through setting them up on your calendar.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we'll cover that tomorrow in greater detail.
Fantastic. And just to make sure I'm clear, the recordings, is there any way I can get the recordings to catch up on what I missed so far?
The recordings you can find it in Marketing Pro. This if you're already in the 1%, then it's a different link.
Okay. No, I didn't get in.
Yeah, this is if you're so basically login.marketingpros.ai. That's what's going to help all of you guys see the replay. If anyone's in here that's already in the 1%, then that's where you would go to a different login portal. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, another perk of the 1% is that whenever we do these virtual events, we give you guys free access as well.
Oh, that's a big perk.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah.
Robin, you have a question?
Yeah, I just saw there was some lifetime cost offer as well. Like you skimmed past it a little bit. There was like a
Yeah, so the lifetime 50% off, basically it means like if you're for however long you're active, let's say you join today and you stay with us for 3 years, for example, then you would keep that $4.97 a month. But if you join today and you cancel in like 2 months and then you want to join again in the future, that would disappear. You would just join at market rate. So
right, okay.
yeah, so so basically you're becoming like one of the founders, which also gives you a lot of say in what we're doing. We just last week we just came down to the calls, for example, right? So the people that are in there now, we just decided on the calls. We have an AI marketing and sales call with the coach I mentioned that generated 7 figures. We have an AI automation call with someone that's like super advanced in automation and conversational AI. I do like a monthly call in there as well, and there's like a bunch of other resources that we're adding into. But part of being founders, you also get to create create whatever's missing that you want to see in here. I think Rich mentioned yesterday, like adding in a place where people can engage with each other's content. So that's something that we're adding in there now. So as founding members, you also have a lot of say in like ways that we can make it better for you guys as well.
Is there a cutoff time for this? Because like I'm like I said, I'm like right at like a very pivotal point, like so I don't think I can afford that, for example, but like in the near future I would be. So like, is there a cutoff point for this offer? Or
so for the 1% specifically at this rate, in about a week, because we've been doing like soft announcements. So in about a week it'll start incrementally increasing. So and then for the next like 3 to 6 months it'll take us some time to get to that $9.97 a month.
Okay.
Yeah,
thanks.
of course, no problem. Cool. Awesome. So going back, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out or send me an email. I'll drop my email here. And then let me just finish today's session. So ultimately the last part that I wanted to mention, Andrew, did you have another question? All right, so the last part that I wanted to mention is you want to make sure that you turn this into a daily habit. Everything we talked about, turn it into a daily habit. You want to make sure that the number one thing is like, don't be entitled. I have seen this multiple times and I have heard a lot of people tell me, I want to make 7 figures, but I don't want to do any work. And unless you're an investor, unfortunately, you have to do the work, right? So, don't be entitled. We all have 24 hours a day. Trust me, I'm really busy as well, but I still prioritize income producing activities. So it's just 1 or 2 hours a day that you need to do for this to grow. If you do this daily, that's 30 hours a month that you're focusing on income producing activities. You might want to delegate a lot of this in the beginning, but don't, because the only way to get better at this and to delegate this is by actually doing it yourself so you can delegate later, right? So don't spray and pray. Don't try to reach out to the whole market. It's only going to dilute your effectiveness, and it's also going to be the reputation that you build for yourself. So be focused, be targeted. It's going to take a little bit more work, but it's going to be more effective. And same as yesterday, send out your 10 to 20 personalized DMs daily. Don't when you're following up, don't just say, hey, I'm following up on the above. Always find ways to add more value. And like the examples I shared yesterday, did you ever get a chance to look at that? I'm working on something else. Want a copy of it when it's done? Stuff like that. And ultimately practice, 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 practice.